Hey guys, I'm here to describe the Opium Wars to you with China and the British. Let's get right to it. This is the opium poppy plant. Unfortunately, it is used to make poppy seeds for bagels, but also the sap is used to make a narcotic, and it's usually smoked and used to make morphine, Demerol, and methadone today. The opioid addiction problem in our country is tied to this plant. So England had, if you're looking at the screen up there, England had the sun never set on the British Empire, and they had territory in India that they conquered, and then they kept on going further and further into China. And China was like a really strong country and very closed and didn't want anybody else to really get in and trade. They did have some merchants that went along the Silk Road in North China across to all these places, and silk went through there. And I guess the British were thinking, why can't we just get silk and other things we want from China and be directly in there and have our own warehouse there? So the idea was to get the Chinese addicted to opium that was mostly grown in India, but was a plant that was growing in Southeast Asia as well. Get them addicted to their own stuff, and then make money off of them. And then basically, China had silk, tea, and porcelain, and 300 million people. It had like a cultural superiority thing, not like in your face, but like we have everything we need here. We're the greatest civilization in the world. We don't need to go anywhere else. That's why they didn't use gunpowder or the stuff they used to make fireworks to go fight people and shoot them. The first Opium War took place. The British East India Company, which is like the bad guys in the Pirates of the Caribbean movies, was out to get the commodities, and the Chinese tried to stop that from happening. In 1841, the war broke out, and then 1842 was the Treaty of Nanjing. It was very unequal in the British favor. Chinese paid the British war losses. So basically, if I fight and people die or I owe people money, you have to pay for it. British citizens living in China gained extraterritoriality, which means that they pretty much were only subject to British law, and they could be punished based off of the Chinese law if something bad happened. The Qing dynasty, which is the Manchu foreigners that invaded China, they became very weakened after this because they don't really have any real authority anymore. And the British gained the island of Hong Kong, which is a trade port for them for quite some time. And the treaty ports were set up for all different countries, and Shanghai was one of the most popular ones, and there was 11 others. So if there's a port, where's the next slide? Hong Kong, just, in my lifetime, it was more under control of just China. But if you have like a port, like if you're looking at the screen there, you see like all the different countries get like a spot along a river or a station or area so that they can trade and get the advantage in trade with China after this war. This is very backbreaking for the Chinese. The Chinese have a Taiping rebellion. Because half the Chinese are like, just go along with it. It's the easy way, less violence. The other half are like, no, this is our country. This is our livelihood. We got to break free. 20 million are killed in this. Just 20 million. Very much later in the 60s, United States tries to create an open door policy with China. But we're talking about, let's skip the Empress Dowager right now. The Second Opium War, the British and the French just pretty much smack the Chinese around to get whatever they want as far as trading. And I just skipped the wrong thing. That's 57 to 60. So we're in our own civil war in this time period. But basically legalizing an opium trade that gets the Chinese, especially the rich Chinese, addicted to the opium. So then the rich Chinese are addicted to the opium that the British have, they're taking it from the Chinese, selling it to the Chinese, getting the rich Chinese addicted to it. So the rich Chinese don't even care, possibly because they're intoxicated, and let the British do whatever they want. So that's the two opium wars. My video is about to end. There is a Boxer Rebellion, and there's anti-foreign sentiment, and the Chinese do terroristic things to people who come in. But then, they can't really do anything about it. Hong Kong does get returned to China in 1917 and Macau in 1999.